Hey everybody, Rick here. Today we're gonna do a little bit of an experiment with the Sourdough Sidekick and my personal Mock Mill 100. So we get a lot of questions on, do I have to use all-purpose flour? Can I use other types of flour in the Sidekick? And as the engineering director here, my goal is to make this work with any type of flour you wanna use. And I thought this was a great opportunity to bring my personal interest and my own mock mill, which I've been experimenting with at home, into work, and we're gonna grind some hard white wheat berries, and we're gonna actually grow a starter and bake with it. So let's dive right into it. So let's get into it. First things first, let's open up this bag of wheat. These are actually always really interesting to me. Just a little side topic here. If you do this right, it will like unzip like a zipper. Let's see if I can do it. Oh, look at that. I did it first try. So what we got here is, this is hard white wheat. So this is what wheat berries look like. For those that don't know, this is a wheat berry. What this mock mill is actually it's a stone mill. So it's got two stone plates that rotate. You can set the depth or the distance between the plates to change your flour kind of fine or coarseness. And I'm gonna set it to the most fine setting, which is a 1. And it's really simple to operate. It's just got an on-off switch. So it's a pretty robust little workhorse here. And I'm just gonna take a big full scoop of this wheat. Remove my lid here. And so what you're gonna see is, as I'm grinding this, it's gonna go in whole wheat and it's gonna come out flour. And it's got the entire wheat berry kind of ground up. So it's got all the ingredients, the oils, all the different components of the wheat is included. And so let's just get into it. All right, so let's check this out. I'm a total noob when it comes to home milling. So it's just something I've been interested in for, I can't tell you how long. I've wanted to take like actually the wheat plant all the way to bread. And so this is one step closer to that. What's really cool about this is, you know, this is the entire wheat. Like this is truly whole wheat. It's a good, fine flour, but it is a little gritty. I mean, you can feel the sort of I guess it's the bran, like the kind of the outer shell of that wheat, but I'm including it. I want all of those nutrients, and we're gonna kind of put the Sidekick to the test and see what it does with it. So first things first, I'm gonna go ahead and load up my flour hopper with this fresh milled flour, and don't worry, my hands are clean. And we have a calibration procedure in this product. I'm actually not even gonna mess with that. I'm just gonna I'll do 200 grams of starters, what I'm gonna grow to. I won't need all that. I'll probably measure out what I actually need out of that, but I wanna do a nice little kind of grow. Also, another interesting thing with fresh milled flour, it ferments a lot faster than just all-purpose flour or whole wheat or other things that you might buy at the store. So I expect that I'll have this ready to go at like 8 o'clock Friday morning. Scratch that, I changed my mind. We wanna actually get the bake into the video. So rather than wait until Friday, which is several days out, we're gonna actually have this do the 200 grams tomorrow. So what will happen when you get your Sidekick is you'll be able to go in and modify. So instead of Friday, you'll be able to back it up to Wednesday at 8 a.m. I can't do that, it's not in the software yet. So I'm gonna just cancel it and I'm gonna change it. Auto, 200 grams, and I want this in like 17 hours now. And by the way, that beep, we heard you loud and clear, and we know it can be annoying, so we are gonna change that. Don't worry, the beep will not be that loud, or you can turn it off or change the volume, something. So don't worry, we hear you. Okay, and I've only got a micro feeding in there. I'm not even gonna redo this. It's a little over 14 grams, so I'm gonna go ahead and just start it. All right, we're gonna let the Sidekick grow this overnight, and we're gonna time warp to tomorrow. Okay, day 2. We've got our fresh milled flour starter here. Should have a little over, right around 200 grams. I'm only gonna do 1 boule of sourdough, so I'm gonna do 500 grams of fresh milled flour, hard white wheat. I'm gonna do an 80% hydration, so that's 400 grams of water. I'm gonna do 20% Levain or starter, And so I'm gonna do 100 grams of starter, and then I'm gonna do 2% salt. So I'll do 10 grams of my favorite Diamond Crystal kosher salt. First step is to go ahead and grind the wheat. So let me measure out 500 grams of wheat. I wanna hit it right on the dot. 500. So I've got this set to the finest grind size. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my mill on. Fresh milled, hard white wheat, 500 grams of it. Now I'm gonna add my water. So this step is called the autolyse. I'm essentially gonna sort of break down the structure of this flour, start to kind of fully hydrate it, and we're gonna let this sit. So to this 500 grams of flour, I'm gonna add 400 grams of water. 80% hydration because it's fresh milled flour. Otherwise it'll just be so thick. Because this has, remember, it's the whole grain. So it is gonna wanna drink this water. Actually, I'm gonna do 375, and then I'll add another 25 grams in when we put the salt in, just to kind of lubricate everything. When I put the salt and the Levain or starter in shortly. So now, the fun part, we're gonna get dirty. I'm gonna use a spatula just to kind of start this, and then we'll switch over to hands at some point, but I try to defer that as long as I can. You know, you could go right in with your hands. Sometimes I do that, but I don't know. I try to keep my hands as clean as possible. And like I said, this is gonna drink this water. It's okay. Again, I'm a complete noob. I'm a complete beginner with fresh milled flour. I've done this maybe 5 times now. So don't critique necessarily my full recipe, my process here. I base most of my sourdough baking on the tartine method, which I don't know, it's just kind of my starting point, and then I adapt. But so with this, I increase to an 80% hydration just because it's fresh milled. Otherwise, and it does ferment faster. The yeast activity in fresh milled flour is definitely faster and more active. I want to try to incorporate all of this flour, and don't worry, I know this looks like really dense. That's okay. I promise it will, when we do some stretch and folds and we kind of give this some time, you'll see it transform. And I'm gonna let this go 45 minutes to an hour. All right, our autolyse is finished. You could go a little longer if you want. It's been a little over 30 minutes. And in the interest of time, we're calling it done. A couple things, I'm gonna add my 10 grams of salt. Sure seems like more than 10 grams, but we're going with it. No, I'm not gonna add it all. I feel like that's a little heavy on the salt, but my final 25 grams of water. And now let me add my starter. So I'm gonna use my scale again, grab this fresh milled starter out of the Sidekick. Okay, now I'm gonna add my 100 grams of active starter. And this, just squish and use your fingers like a kitchen utensil. And just using this technique where I'm gonna sort of squeeze it between my fingers, try to integrate this fully and incorporate all of that salt and starter into the dough. The earlier phase, like when it's real sticky, would stick to your hands, but this just kind of releases. It's not bad. Makes you feel like a kid again, playing in the mud. It's probably more than you need to do. I don't know. I'm just kind of enjoying it now. We'll call that good. So I'm gonna do a couple of stretch and folds, and I'm also gonna put this in the oven to proof. I've just measured it. My oven proof mode runs at about 85 degrees. So I think the bulk ferment should take somewhere between 3 and 4 hours with this fresh milled flour and that temperature. So I'm gonna do about every 30 minutes, I'll come do a stretch and fold, just try to strengthen the gluten structure in this dough. And that'll hopefully get us a better final product. Again, I'm a beginner. I'm no bread coach or anything. So we'll just go through this together and see how it turns out. I do want to keep this from drying out, so I'm going to cover it as I put it in the oven to proof. Again, super low temperature. I'm not worried about this melting or anything. All right, now we're going to come back in 30 minutes and do a stretch and fold. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. We're gonna do our first stretch and fold. Pro tip here is kind of wet your hands when you do this because it is a sticky sort of setup. And you want to just sort of get your hand under here and stretch it out. You're trying to build the gluten structure of this dough. And we'll notice each time that we do this, there's already fermentation bubbles in here. This stuff is super lively. You're just trying to build kind of a gluten structure, and you'll notice each time it kind of becomes a little more silky and smooth. So you can already see it's less lumpy. So I'm gonna do this a couple more times. I'm not gonna come and bring you in and show you each time. I'll just show you the final result when I'm done with those stretch and folds about every 30 minutes. We'll be back. We've been proofing around a little over 3 hours, and we are ready to do some pre-shaping. So let's get the dough out of the oven. And I've done 3 total stretch and folds. So what I'm gonna do is lightly flour this surface here. And I'm gonna sort of let it, and this is some more fresh milled flour that we had left over here. Just gonna lightly flour that, not much. Trying to be gentle with it. I don't want to like deflate pockets of air, CO2 gas in there. It's kind of our friend. You can see a lot of fermentation activity in that 3 hours. So we'll see. Hopefully it hasn't overproofed, and it may have, I don't know. I'm just sort of trying to give myself a little surface tension, and then I'll do final shaping. We'll try to make it look pretty. Now. I'm just gonna let it rest there for about 20 minutes, and then we'll come back and do our final shaping, and then we'll put it in our banneton basket here, and we'll let it go maybe another hour or 2, and then we'll get it in the oven. Pre-shaping's done. It's been a little over 20 minutes, so let's move on to the next step. I'm gonna actually do the final shaping of this dough. I'm gonna flour my surface. I need a little rice flour, so I'm gonna rice flour this. The way, this may not be 100% accurate, but the way I think of rice flour is it won't be integrated into the dough won't absorb it. So I think of it kind of like oil and water. So I'll dust this with rice flour when I put the shaped dough in there, and that way it won't stick later when I go to bake it. So I'm gonna use this grain mill again to make some rice flour. So I've got some whole grain rice here, and I'm gonna grind my own rice flour. Feels like there's still one in there. There we go. Just like regular flour, but rice. All right, so I'm gonna just lightly dust this banneton basket. And this is just gonna make my life a little easier in a couple hours after I do my kind of final proof and get ready to bake it. All right, so I'm gonna flip this dough over this floured surface. And again, I'm no pro at this, just kind of the way I think about it. Kind of do this 4-fold deal. Okay. I'm gonna roll it over onto the good side. And now I'm gonna try to build a little surface tension. I'm rolling it on the unfloured part of the counter. I'm looking for kind of a nice, sort of tight surface. I don't want to tear it though. I want to be careful. Looks pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to flip it into this rice floured basket. And I'm gonna let this proof here on the counter for the next, I don't know, this is fermenting pretty fast. Fresh milled flour, 1 to 2 hours. And I'm gonna go ahead and start my Dutch oven in the oven so that it's ready to go when I'm done with this final proof. My Dutch oven is preheated and my dough the final proof is done. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this out. I'm gonna score it. And again, because this is fresh milled flour, in my experience, it tends to be a little denser than when I do this with, all-purpose flour. So I'm just gonna sort of score it, again, amateur. I'm gonna have plenty of excess parchment paper. That's okay, I don't care. Ready? Yep. We're gonna now do this for 30 minutes at 450, then we'll remove the lid and do about another 15 to 20. I want the internal temperature of the bread to reach around 210 degrees. All right, this is the moment of truth. Always a little nerve-wracking. How badly did I mess this up? Let's find out. Not too bad. Let's finish it out. I'm gonna start checking this in about 15 minutes, and what I'm looking for is the color, and I want the internal temperature to be eventually around 210 degrees. So I think that's probably gonna take 20 minutes, but I'll set a timer for 15. We'll be back. Okay, it's been about 20 more minutes, so we're gonna check this out. Color looks pretty good to me. 210, 211. That's what I was shooting for. Without tearing it. To me, that looks pretty good. Fresh milled flour, again, in my experience, it doesn't rise quite as much. All right, so the big question is, will it sidekick fresh milled flour? And the answer is, yes, it will. I had control of every ingredient that went into this. It's actually really delicious. We've seen this question a lot, different types of flours. Can it handle it? The answer is yes, it can. Keep asking those questions, we'll keep answering them, and we'll keep providing you updates as the product progresses. I expect to see a lot of software improvements coming in the next week or two, so it's gonna be really fun to experiment with this and share that with you. So until then, take care.